Imagine a big old castle with tall stone walls and secret hallways. Inside these walls, a quiet battle is happening. It is a battle without swords or shields, but it is just as serious. One man has just made a choice that is so big and so scary that the people in the palace are trying very hard to keep it a secret. Prince Edward, the king's younger brother, has done something that no one expected. He has blocked Camilla, the queen, and every single one of her close friends from being a part of Prince William's future big day. This big day is the coronation, which is the special party where a new king gets his crown. At the very center of this big, stormy argument is a tiny piece of jewelry called a brooch that Camilla wore not too long ago. People who watch the royal family very closely are saying this was a very bold move. They say it was the most shameful thing she has ever done to show everyone that she is the boss. Edward saw what she did, and he did not like it at all. He decided to move fast. Very slowly and very carefully, he is taking away every bit of power that Camilla has worked for many years to get. And what he is going to do next is going to hurt her feelings so much that she might never feel better again. On a special day called Easter Sunday in the year 2026, everyone at Windsor Castle was waiting and watching. Every single camera in the whole country of Britain was looking at the exact same spot. Then a single picture was taken. This picture was so important that it sent shock waves all through the palace. It was a picture that nobody saw coming. Prince William walked into a very old and beautiful building called St. George's Chapel. He had his wife, Catherine, right there next to him. Their 3 children were standing with them like a strong, solid wall. For a long time, Catherine had been sick and people were worried. There were many whispers and rumors that William's family was falling apart. People thought they were sad and alone, but in this picture they were all back together. They looked strong, happy, and like they could never be broken apart. The people watching could not stop looking at them. Right next to William stood Prince Edward. He is the Duke of Edinburgh, and he is a very steady man. His son, James, was right there with him too. Princess Anne, the king's sister, was very close by. Another family member named Peter Phillips was also standing near them. Every single one of these people stood around William like a big, strong fortress. It looked like they knew a secret that the rest of the world did not know yet. Now, if you look at that picture, try to find Camilla. Go ahead and look for her friends and family. They were not there. The people who are closest to Camilla were nowhere near that strong group of people. There is a man named Andrew who is the king's brother. He has been in a lot of trouble, and most people in the world do not like him because of the bad things he did. Camilla never told him to go away, even though the whole world knew his secrets. In this important picture, Andrew was not there. His daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, did not come to stand in that spot either. All the family members who usually stay by Camilla's side were gone. But the people who were there, like William, Catherine, Edward, and Anne, all moved close together. They made one tight group on the other side of the chapel. This picture was not a mistake. When there is a big event like this at a castle, every single person is told exactly where to stand. The leaders of the palace decide where every person goes before the day even starts. Someone very important decided who got to stand in that strong group, and someone decided that Camilla's people would not be allowed to stand there. That photograph was more than just a picture. It was like a loud voice saying that Camilla was out of the group. It showed that the walls were closing in on her. It showed that the people who are building the future of the royal family had looked at her and decided she would not be a part of it anymore. And the saddest part is that this was all Camilla's own fault. She spent 30 long years making choices that led her to this moment. She made people her enemies. She broke the rules too many times. She tried to take too much power, and she did it too often. You might ask, what exactly did Camilla do this time to make everyone so upset? Well, she did many things, but the biggest thing started with a piece of jewelry. In February of the year 2023, Camilla went to a place in London called Brick Lane. When she walked out into the street, she was wearing a very special brooch. When the people who work inside the palace saw it, they stopped moving. They were shocked. The brooch was shaped like something called the Tudor crown. It was made of shiny silver and had beautiful red, blue, and green jewels called rubies, sapphires, and emeralds. It looked like a big sign on her chest. This was important because that specific crown is the symbol for King Charles. It is like his special logo or his name tag that says he is the king. It shows his power and who he is. Camilla pinned that symbol to her own clothes and walked out for the whole world to see. Think about that for a minute. The experts who know everything about royal jewelry said that these pins are not just for looking pretty. They are always worn near the heart for a reason. They carry secret messages about who is loyal and who has the power. This brooch carried a message that was so loud it did not even need words. It said, "I am not just standing next to the king. I am the one who holds his crown. I am here to stay, and I am never going away." The important workers in the palace did not know she was going to do this. They were very surprised by how bold she was. They felt that she wasn't trying to be nice to the royal family. Instead, she was telling the family exactly where she planned to stay. But there was another moment that made people feel even more upset. When Charles was officially made king in May of 2023, Camilla walked into the big ceremony wearing jewels that belonged to the old queen, Elizabeth. The crown on Camilla's head had special diamonds in it that people called Granny's chips. Queen Elizabeth had worn those diamonds as a pin for 70 years. They were not just shiny rocks, they were her favorite things. The whole country had seen those diamonds on the old queen for a long, long time. When this happened, the people of the country were still very sad because Queen Elizabeth had died. They were still crying for her. People who watched the royals said it felt like a gut punch, which means it hurt very much. The palace tried to say it was a nice way to remember history, but the public saw something different. They saw a woman who had been disliked for 30 years reaching into a dead queen's jewelry box. She took those treasures on the very same day she got her own crown. This made millions of people feel very cold toward her. It felt dark because Camilla wasn't just wearing pretty jewelry. She was wearing the things that belonged to a woman the people loved very much. Queen Elizabeth was quiet and kind, which is the opposite of how people think of Camilla. The people in Britain never forgot who Camilla used to be. They never forgot Princess Diana. Camilla was the woman who broke up Diana's marriage, which was a very sad story that everyone knew. That old hurt never went away. Every time Camilla reached for something that felt like it belonged to someone else, that old wound opened up and started to hurt again. Even Prince Harry, who is Camilla's stepson, said some very strong words about her. In a book he wrote about his life, he called Camilla dangerous. He said she only cared about herself. He told the world that she gave secret stories to the newspapers to make herself look good, even if it made other people look bad. He said she was like a villain in a story who needed a big team to help her pretend to be nice. These words came from a person who lived with her and saw her every day for many years. He wanted the world to know the truth about what he saw. By the year 2026, the numbers showed that the people agreed with Harry. Only 42% of the people liked Camilla. That is a very low score. But at the same time, the number of people who really disliked her went up to 45%. Now let's look at Prince Edward. He is 15th in line to be king, which means he is not usually the most important person. For 30 years, he was so quiet that many people forgot he was there, but his score was much better. About 51% of the people liked him, and very few people disliked him. This meant that a man who was quiet and worked hard was now more popular than the woman wearing the crown. In the royal family, being liked by the people is very important. It changes who gets to make the big decisions. Camilla could feel this change happening. She just did not know that it was about to pull her down into the shadows. And the person who was going to help push her down was not an enemy, but a member of the family. It was Prince Andrew who caused the big mess that made Camilla lose her balance. Andrew was not just told to move away, he was taken apart piece by piece. He was 66 years old when he was forced to leave his big, beautiful home called Royal Lodge. He had lived there since the year 2004. That house was more than just a home. It was a sign that the family still wanted him around, even after all the bad things people said about him. But then, that sign was taken away. He was told to move to a much smaller house called Wood Farm, which is far away and very lonely. Then in January of 2025, King Charles took away Andrew's special titles. It was a very clear message that Andrew could never come back to his old life. This affected Edward in a way that many people did not talk about. Edward and his wife, Sophie, had a quiet tradition they did every year. They always spent Easter at that small house, Wood Farm. It was their special family time. But because Andrew was living there now, they could not go. Their favorite tradition was ruined. For people like Edward and Sophie, who loved their routines and always do the right thing, this was a big deal. What Edward did next showed everyone exactly what kind of man he is. Reports said that Edward was the first person in the family to visit Andrew after he got into even more trouble with the police. Here is the part that is very interesting. King Charles was only 1 mile away when this happened. His own brother had just been in trouble and Charles did not go to see him, but Edward went. He did not go to give Andrew a hug or to say he was sorry. He went to tell Andrew that it was time to leave. He told him to stop making things worse for the family and to move out of the house faster. Edward did not go because he was being a nice brother. He went to do a hard job that needed to be done. He walked in, told the hard truth, and walked out without being scared. This is the same man who stood next to William at the church on Easter. He is a man who can handle hard things without blinking. When King Charles got sick and could not do his work, Edward and Sophie stepped up to help. They did not even wait to be asked. They traveled to faraway places like Japan to represent the king. They did all the hard work that the monarchy needed. Then something happened that was very unfair. In April of 2024, the king put out a special list of honors. This list is like a gold star for people who did a great job. Queen Camilla was on the list. Prince William and Catherine were on the list too. They all got rewards for their hard work, but Edward and Sophie were not on the list at all. Even though they had worked harder than almost anyone else, their names were missing. People who write about the royals noticed this and talked about it loudly. They thought it was a big mistake, but Edward and Sophie did not say a word. They did not act mad or frustrated. They just kept doing their work exactly like they did before. In the palace, acting this way is not weak. It is actually very strong. It shows that they are loyal because they want to help, not because they want a gold star. This makes them much more powerful than someone who just wants to be on a list. This is the part that changes everything. While Edward and Sophie were being ignored, Camilla's friends and her inner circle were being protected and rewarded. Her people were safe and happy. This was a clear message. It said that no matter how hard Edward and Sophie worked, Camilla's friends would always be more important. Edward heard that message loud and clear. He understood what it meant. From that day on, he stopped trying to be loyal to everyone. He decided to be loyal to only one person. He chose the person he believed would one day see his hard work and be loyal back to him. That person was Prince William. But Edward had a personal reason for this too. For many years, Camilla's close friends, whom people called the Rottweilers, were the ones who decided who got to be close to the king. They decided which stories were told to the newspapers and which stories were hidden. Sophie, Edward's wife, felt the sting of this group. She was never allowed to be part of their circle. Camilla's team even told mean stories about Sophie to the papers. Edward watched his wife go through this for years. He saw her work hard and be kind, yet she was still treated like she did not belong in her own family. He never said anything in public, but inside he became very firm and strong. When the honors list came out and Sophie's name was not on it, Edward did not make a scene. He did something much more clever. He chose a side. He made sure the palace knew he was now standing with William and Catherine, not with Camilla. Right now, Edward is on the winning side. Recently, things have started to change for Camilla. Her group is starting to fall apart because of all the bad choices she made over the last 30 years. She made the wrong people her enemies at the worst possible time. Everyone is now looking forward to the day when William becomes the king. When that happens, Edward has a plan. He is going to block Camilla from his circle. When people hear the word block, they might think of people yelling or someone standing in front of a door. But in a palace, a block is much quieter and much more permanent. When William is the king, he gets to plan his own special coronation ceremony from the beginning. He gets to decide who walks in the parade. He gets to decide who sits in the very front row. He gets to decide who is allowed to wear the beautiful jewels from the royal vault. He even gets to decide whose face is shown on the balcony when the party is over. Camilla does not have a right to any of those things. Not one. Her whole job as queen only exists because Charles wanted it for her and fought for her. The very second Charles is gone, all of that protection goes away with him. This is where Edward comes into the story. Every time Edward stood next to William at a big event, he was helping to draw a map of what William's future as king would look like. And on that map, Camilla does not have a seat near the throne. She does not get to walk in the parade. The people around William are building his future right now, and they are building it without her. This is the block, and it was finished before Camilla even knew it was happening. Under King William, Camilla would not have any real power. She would be called the Queen Mother, which is just a fancy title for a ceremony. She would not have any say in how things are run. This is where those sparkly brooches come back into the story. Remember that Tudor crown pin she wore? Remember the diamonds she took from Queen Elizabeth's collection? She wore them to show everyone that she was important and that she was going to stay forever. But all that power was just borrowed. It came from Charles. It only worked because Charles was alive and sitting on the throne. When William opens the jewel vaults for his own coronation, his team will decide who gets to wear the treasures. The woman who spent years grabbing those jewels and wearing the king's symbols will have no say at all. She will have to sit wherever William's people tell her to sit. She will only wear what they say she can wear. Those famous diamonds and those special pins will likely go to Catherine. Camilla will not be allowed to touch them again. Through all of this, Edward will stay right by William's side. Every time the cameras saw Edward standing with William at Easter or at other big parties, he was casting a vote. He was saying, without using any words, that when the king changes, he will be right there. He was saying he is part of the future, and he is not standing anywhere near Camilla. Sophie has also been casting her own vote. She has been missing from some big events lately. She did not miss them by accident. People who watched the royals looked at the videos very carefully. They saw that Sophie only skipped the events where Camilla was the center of attention. She skipped the times when being there would have made it look like she was part of Camilla's group. Every time she stayed away, it was on purpose. She wanted to send a message, and that message was received. Together, Edward and Sophie have already made their choice. They chose to stand with the future king before anyone even asked them to. They did it before they had to. And they made sure that everyone in the palace could see their choice very clearly. The story of the palace is changing. It is like a big book where a new chapter is being written. In this new chapter, the people who were quiet and worked hard are becoming the most important. The people who tried to take power for themselves are being moved to the side. Edward and Sophie are like the steady anchors that keep the ship from sinking. William and Catherine are the new leaders that the people love. And Camilla is finding out that power that is taken is not the same as power that is earned. In the simple world of the palace, loyalty is the most important thing of all. Edward showed his loyalty to his family and to the future. Because of that, he will have a place of honor for a long time. Camilla, who tried to wear the crown before it was hers, may find that the crown was never really hers to keep. The silent war is almost over, and it looks like the quiet ones have won. The walls of the castle are strong, but the hearts of the people inside are what really matter. As the sun sets on one era and rises on another, the map of the royal family looks very different. The fortress around William is complete, and the block against Camilla is finished. The story is moving forward, and everyone is waiting to see what happens next in this real-life fairy tale. It is a story about being fair, being kind, and waiting for the right time to show who you really are. Edward waited a long time, and now everyone knows he is a man of his word. Camilla is learning that even the sparkliest jewels cannot hide the truth forever. In the end, the truth always finds a way to come out, even behind the thickest stone walls of a palace.